Morning, guys. Mark Ferrasci. We had a real kind of a freak storm we had last night. We had a heavy windstorm. They were predicting wind, wind advisory for a couple days. I think they still got a little bit of wind, and it wasn't any wind. I was going, where's the wind? Where's the wind? Well, last night, all day long, I've been looking at weather reports because I've got a bunch of chores and things I want to get done. So I'm paying attention to the weather reports 5, 10 days out, and I see that there's a weather pattern coming next week that's going to give us some rain. So that's where I thought everything was going to happen, but it all hit us last night heavy. The wind was a wind storm. It blew everything all over the place. My trailer was just shaking all over the place. Real severe. It was like 6, 8 hours. Well, 4 hours, whatever. I fell asleep, and it was finally 10:30, 11 when I finally went to sleep, and windstorm was just tearing us up. So I went out this morning, and yep, sure enough, everything's torn up. My back fence is all down to the ground and everything else. I've got to do a lot of repair work now and try to clean up the mess that's created from the wind. One of the horse roofs that you have, those nice tin roofs that they put over the top of horses and things. Well, the wind gets going so good here that it's not really a feasible thing to use because the wind, it takes it like a sail. We had a big old length of it, probably 20 foot long, with this tin roofing that they use, and it blew that probably a good 100 feet all over the fence lines and into my other back fence and took out the fence, and it's laying on the ground. Such is life out here in the high desert and so close to the mountains where the weather gets real going. It's pretty severe sometimes. So all right, so let's get back into my normal conversation for these Yack sessions in regards to what's happening. I was just thinking about it. I was kind of trying to be clairvoyant, thinking ahead, always kind of mapping out what's going to happen before it happens, right? So I think what's going to happen, if you think about it, he moved like 3,000 of those ICE agents into Minneapolis, and he's been terrorizing the community, and I think a lot of that is basically trying to get the troops, his shock troops, right, trained to deal with the populace in such a way that they're being heavy-handed, and their mental attitude's all geared up because they've been dealing with that community. Right? They found a community that was perfect for them, that was going to fight back basically, and the protest and the resistance that's out there and all that. They've had to deal with some pretty aggressive populists coming back at them. So that being the case, we're looking at a vote that's going to be coming up, and we're all talking about this vote. And we know that that's going to be what makes the difference from him being able to be a tyrant, and if he gets away with trying to tick us off and we go off, and if we don't, I think what's going to happen right now is that's basically training. You got 3,000 of them already been mentally geared up to be this tyranny and Gestapo type of behavior and mental attitude of handling the populace that's in Minneapolis. I think he's going to very slowly pull back, right? A little at a time, so they don't even hardly notice, and he'll leave a certain amount of them there. But the rest of them that they've already got geared up and that have been having that aggressive behavior, he's going to put those folks out in squads. Meaning how many men are in a squad? 8, 10 guys? I don't know. I was never in the military, but the squads, platoons, that whole thing. And so he's going to take those and he's going to split them up. And he's going to put those people near the voting boxes and near those areas that he's so worried about losing the vote. Heavy African-American populations, things like that, to intimidate the vote, right? To try to squell the vote so those people don't come out in mass and in strength and go out and vote. Okay, he's going to use psychology. It's all about intimidating the masses and controlling the populace through their behavior of fascism to take over our country, right? And so get ready for it. That's what's going to end up happening. And then it's going to be just small enough, and he's going to use all these little excuses to blaming us and claiming theft and all the bullshit that he does that he's already done. We already know the playbook, right? And it's going to be a kind of a mixed cocktail of how he's going to go at this. And their goal is to chill the vote, to get people to be intimidated so they don't want to go out and vote because it's not comfortable, right? A lot of people will stay inside and try to avoid it. So that's what's going to end up happening. And our politicians on Capitol Hill are going to be fighting the fight like they did the last time of making sure we got mail-in voting and all that good stuff to try to allow the population to vote their conscience and vote the way they want to vote without that intimidation, without that fascist thumb over the top of the populace. Right? So that's my prediction. I think that's what's going to kind of happen. And you can expect him to kind of trying to pull back in a very small, subtle ways, so that we don't even notice there's not a lot of, he doesn't want to do a retreat, doesn't want to lose face, right? Make himself look bad. He wants to do it in such a way that it just kind of takes the pressure off, You tighten down the screw. That's what he's done now, and he's just been totally tyranny and all the attitude that they've had with that Gestapo shock troop type of an attitude, right? And now he's going to pull back subtly, and then he's going to use those men that have already been in that mentality, and he's going to put them out at these voting boxes, right? And that's what he wants. He wants tyrants, right? And I don't think, they're going to have to play the game with politics. It's not legal to do that, and intimidation and troops on our streets and all that good stuff for the vote. Our politicians are going to have to handle that the best way they can, but I think that's what's going to happen if he doesn't go down in flames before then. You know what I mean? Believe me, they're going to keep moving that ball up and try to move fascism into our country. They've got Russia behind them. They've got all these communists. That's why he's making friends with these communist countries, because that's what he wanted, right? And with their support, he can get away with things like shipping a bunch of people off to Venezuela or wherever the heck he's doing his little prisons that he started to send people to that kind of got slapped in the face. He got slapped in the face on it, But it is what it is. We're fighting the good fight, and that's all we can do, And then there's all kinds of this protest, and then there's people that like Antifa Kyle that's out there trying to make it a lot more uncomfortable for him, and resistance, and making, that we're going to have a certain amount. I don't know if I ever told you the story of kind of how I kind of analyzed it with the history and everything of what happened in France. When they went into France, there was basically 3 psychological reactions, human reactions that were very natural, and 3 kind of main type of filtrations of those mental mind states of mind, right? One of those was the people that went in and they were bootlickers, right? They went right away to kiss their ass and to get favor from them and to be, snitching on their neighbors, and that's what they want. They want to create this whole thing, right? And then you had the people that were just trying to survive, just trying to be quiet, stay in their lane, keep their head down, and just deal with the stress around them and try to not feel stressed, because you're fooling yourself. You're putting your head in the sand, and the whole world around you is chaos, but you're ignoring it because you got to go to work, you got to do this, and that's what gives you enough peace of mind and enough mental stability that you can get you through it. It's a very natural reaction. Now, the third reaction, human reaction, that's going to happen, and it does, is the people like Antifa Kyle, right? They get resistance. We're going to fight this. We're not letting you take over our country, and you can pound sand, right? And that's the third. That's the resistance, right? As Kyle would say, viva resistance. And that's me. That's kind of the way I feel, right? Now, nobody knows really how you're going to react when the real pressure comes on and the real thing hits you. It's part of human nature. I can talk all I want. I'm sitting here all comfort in my trailer. When it really hits you in the face, how are you going to really react? That inner core, I don't know how I'm going to react, when time comes. If I've got enough support group around me and we work as a team and we do what we got to do, I'll be out there and I'll be in the resistance, period, right? So it's all about human psychology, guys. They're using human psychology, which is now, today's day and age, instead of back in the 30s and 40s when they dealt with the Hitler and with the fascism that was moving across the world in that time, right, because of Hitler doing what he was doing. Perfect example for us to see, but they see it too. That's why they're following the 2025 rule playbook. That's why they're doing what they're doing. It's already worked before, and they're using the same playbook to try to move fascism into our country and have a dictatorship and authoritarian country, right? In America, of all places, right? But that benefits Putin, because we've been a thorn in his side for a lot of years, doing what we've done to support the world and bringing free enterprise and democracy to the world. Right? And it's benefited a lot of different people. Look at the Chinese. They didn't have a country. They were a very poor and country until we got them to accept capitalism and accept a certain, and they've modeled it after that, and look at their country, right? There's a lot of history in what happened with all that, where we had our manufacturing that was over here. We used to make everything, and now we don't as much. Hopefully we'll get back to where we produce all kinds of product and we do what we need to do. So that is my prediction. I think that's what's going to happen. If, a lot of different things could happen, believe me. This whole Epstein file thing, depending on how hard we come at them with that, and then really start to get things unredacted and start to really find out things that they tried to hide from us, and it's going to come out. The truth always comes out, folks, and it's just a matter of our attitude to be dedicated to making sure that we go after it in a very concerted fashion, that we don't quit, that we stay on it, we stay on it, we stay on it. That might be the thing that fries them and brings them down, right? So just keep it in mind and realize that we're all human and we're all susceptible to human psychology, and how we deal with the stresses that come at us in life in general uh, are very kind of predictable, because we're all human. And so those three facets of human nature, I can see happening, right? It already is in a lot of ways. You got people that are buddying up with him and snitching on him, and the corporations are buddy with him, and it's because they think differently and trying to. It's all about profits for them, right? The corporations. Remember, don't forget, that's what we really want to affect. We want to do a lot of boycotting, a lot of taking their money away by not doing business with them, everything we can do to reduce their cash flow coming in, to choke off. I mean, it's like kind of what we did with this ICE, no funding of DHS. We don't want to fund them, right? Period, because of what they're doing, right? So we got to keep that up. And if we can take that money out of their pockets, they're going to start changing their behavior, because money is what they want, right? Greed, money, it's what this whole Trump era is all about, and fascism and authoritarian and being the big dick in the water. All right, I'll let you guys go. Have a good day. Mark Ferrasci signing off, talking a little bit more about my Yack session, about what's going on in our society. Have a good day, guys.